Germany did not win early battles with numbers alone. It won them with machines. When World War II began, the Wehrmacht unleashed a new kind of warfare: fast, coordinated, brutal. Tanks didn't move alone. Infantry didn't walk into battle. Everything was mechanized, synchronized, and designed to overwhelm the enemy before they could react. This wasn't just an army, it was a moving system of steel. In this series, we break down every major German vehicle of World War II, from the smallest training tanks pressed into combat to legendary beasts that still dominate history books. And it all begins with the machines that carried the war forward. Panzer I. Born as a training vehicle, forced into war. The Panzer I was never meant for combat. Armed with nothing more than 2 machine guns and protected by armor so thin it barely stopped rifle fire, it relied entirely on speed and coordination. Yet during the invasions of Poland and France, necessity turned it into a frontline weapon. It survived not because it was strong, but because it moved fast and it moved first. Panzer II. A temporary solution that became essential. Designed as a stopgap, the Panzer II unexpectedly became the backbone of early blitzkrieg operations. Its 20mm autocannon gave it just enough firepower to deal with infantry, light vehicles, and exposed positions. Outmatched later in the war, its chassis lived on, repurposed into artillery platforms and support vehicles long after the tank itself faded from the front lines. Panzer 35T. Captured steel, repurposed for conquest. After the annexation of Czechoslovakia, Germany absorbed the well-built Škoda-designed Panzer 35T. Known for its high-quality construction and distinctive suspension layout, it served effectively during the early campaigns, though its complex systems struggled in harsh environments. A reminder that good design doesn't always mean battlefield durability. Panzer III. Built to fight other tanks. The Panzer III introduced a revolutionary concept, a 3-man turret. This allowed the commander to command, the gunner to shoot, and the loader to load, dramatically improving battlefield efficiency. Though its gun eventually struggled against newer Allied armor, its layout became the standard for medium tanks worldwide. The true workhorse of the German army. Unlike other designs, the Panzer IV never stopped evolving. It was upgraded, rearmed, and up-armored repeatedly, serving on every front of the war, from the deserts of North Africa to the frozen plains of Russia. If any German tank earned its reputation through sheer endurance, it was this one. Panther. Born in response to a shock, the Soviet T-34 forced Germany to rethink everything. The result was the Panther. Sloped armor, high mobility, and a deadly high-velocity 75mm gun. Early mechanical failures plagued it, but once refined, the Panther became one of the most effective medium tanks ever built. Tiger I. Fear made of steel. The Tiger didn't rely on speed, it relied on dominance. With its thick armor and devastating 88mm gun, it could destroy enemy tanks from distances where return fire was useless. Expensive, slow, and difficult to maintain, but on the battlefield, it ruled through sheer intimidation. These were not just tanks. They were symbols of a doctrine built on shock, speed, and mechanical precision. In Part 2, we move beyond the panzers and into the hunters of the battlefield, tank destroyers and assault guns designed to ambush, annihilate, and disappear. Tanks were built to advance, but some machines were built to wait. As the war evolved, Germany realized that brute force alone was no longer enough. Enemy armor grew stronger, battlefields became deadlier, and resources grew thinner. The answer was not always bigger tanks, it was smarter killers. Low silhouettes, ambush tactics, heavy guns mounted on stripped-down hulls. These were the tank destroyers and assault guns, vehicles designed to strike first, hit hard, and disappear. Stug 3, Sturmgeschütz 3, the most successful German armored vehicle of the war. By removing the turret from the Panzer III chassis, Germany created a low-profile assault gun that was cheap, reliable, and deadly. The Stug 3 excelled in ambush warfare, hiding behind terrain and striking enemy armor before it could respond. Simple, efficient, relentless. Marder 2. Desperation made visible. As Allied tanks grew tougher, Germany mounted heavy anti-tank guns on outdated Panzer II chassis. The result was the Marder 2, powerful but dangerously exposed. Crews fought with almost no armor protection, relying entirely on range and first-shot advantage. Firepower came at a price. Marder 3, built on the reliable Czech 38T chassis. Armed with either captured Soviet guns or the German PaK-40, the Marder 3 could destroy most Allied tanks. But, like its predecessor, it left crews vulnerable to artillery, shrapnel, and small arms fire. Deadly, but unforgiving.
Jagdpanzer IV. Low, flat, and lethal. Armed with a long-barreled 75mm gun, the Jagdpanzer IV was designed to fight defensively. Its sloped armor and low silhouette made it difficult to spot, earning it a reputation as a silent hunter. A tank destroyer built to kill, not to survive prolonged fights.
Hetzer, Jagdpanzer 38T. Small, angular, merciless. Built on the 38T chassis, the Hetzer was cheap, compact, and extremely difficult to detect. Its sharply sloped armor and remote-controlled machine gun gave it surprising effectiveness for its size. It didn't look impressive until it fired. Nashorn, power without protection. The Nashorn mounted a devastating 88mm gun on a lightly armored chassis. It could destroy enemy tanks from extreme distances, but offered almost no protection in return. A sniper, not a brawler. Jagdpanther, often considered the finest tank destroyer of the war. Combining the Panther's excellent chassis with the lethal 88mm gun, the Jagdpanther offered speed, armor, and firepower in perfect balance. Few Allied tanks could match it head-on. Rare, expensive, terrifying. Ferdinand above all else. Built on rejected Porsche Tiger hulls, the Ferdinand was nearly indestructible from the front, but early versions lacked basic defenses against infantry, a flaw that proved costly. Later improved and renamed Elephant, it became a mobile bunker, powerful, slow, and logistically demanding. Jagdtiger, too heavy for its own war. Armed with a massive 128mm gun, the Jagdtiger could destroy any tank it encountered, but its extreme weight destroyed bridges, strained engines, and often immobilized itself before combat even began. The ultimate expression of firepower and excess. By the final years of the war, Germany no longer fought for speed or surprise. It fought for time. The battlefield had changed. Air superiority was lost, supply lines were collapsing, and every advance was paid for in steel and fuel. What remained were machines built not to conquer, but to hold, defend, and destroy from a distance. These were the last tools of a collapsing war machine. Wespe, SKFD 124. Mobile firepower finally perfected. Built on the Panzer II chassis, the Wespe transformed obsolete tanks into fast-moving artillery. Armed with a 105mm howitzer, it allowed German units to fire, relocate, and fire again before counter-battery strikes could respond. Light, mobile, efficient. The Wespe proved that adaptation could extend the life of a dying system. Hummel, heavy artillery on tracks.
The Hummel mounted a devastating 150mm howitzer on a hybrid Panzer III-4 chassis. It delivered crushing indirect fire against infantry, fortifications, and assembly areas far behind the front lines. Its only weakness was ammunition supply, a reminder that even the strongest weapon is useless without logistics.
Sturmpanzer IV, brummbar, built to destroy cities. Designed specifically for urban combat, the brummbar carried a massive 150mm assault gun capable of collapsing buildings and pulverizing bunkers. Its thick armor allowed it to survive close-range fighting where other vehicles failed. It wasn't fast, it wasn't elegant, but when streets turned into fortresses, the brummbar answered with brute force.
Flakpanzer IV, wirbelwind, the last shield against the sky. As Allied aircraft dominated the air, the wirbelwind emerged as a desperate countermeasure. Armed with 4 20mm anti-aircraft cannons, it created a deadly storm of fire against low-flying aircraft and devastating ground targets. Originally built for air defense, it became a multi-role weapon in a war where threats came from every direction.
These machines were not symbols of victory. They were symptoms of survival. Heavy, specialized, resource-starved, they marked the final evolution of German armored warfare, powerful, complex, and ultimately overwhelmed. Steel fought until fuel ran out, guns fired until barrels cracked, and machines stood where strategy no longer could. This was the end of the line.